Okay, today we are playing a game on Route 66. We are playing Moira the entire way through, and there is no SR for today's game because it was a placement game. Which also means that I get to say I don't care about the team comp, and that means I get to do no video editing today. Oh, when the season rolls around, it's the best time of year. The season rolls around a few times a year, but they're all the best time of year simultaneously. Because it's like a week or two where I just don't have to do any video editing. Because it is extremely labor-intensive to put 6 pictures on the screen and then match them to presets. Oh my god, it takes like 30 whole seconds out of my day. You don't understand just how strenuous that is. So, anyway, let's start the game. So we've got to attack Route 66 first. We've learned they have a Moira. This doesn't really affect us in any meaningful way, but we know they have one. So we boldly and greedily decide to advance while we're just above half health still, even though we could have just picked up a health kit real quick, seeing as there's one in the trailers behind us. Probably the intention is to let the other healer heal us. You can't trust them. I wouldn't trust me, so you definitely can't trust them. So we're really low on resource right now. Extremely low. So I assume this is why we throw the healing orb right here, so we can try and recharge our healing resource. Then we start spraying on them again, immediately afterwards. So, Reinhardt at this point, he let his shield break, I'm pretty sure. I think he let it break, I'm not 100% sure. The animation didn't play or whatever, you know, whatever. Who cares? So, Reinhardt's shield broke. Oh. Oh, let's see what my teammates are doing while I'm waiting to respawn. Oh. Oh, I wish I hadn't looked at all, actually, now. Ooh, you see that geometry right there? Ooh, nice. Okay, so we all got wiped. Feels bad, man. Oh, we're on the console today. Oh. Consider yourself forewarned. There you go. So we've almost got Coalescence built up after that one. Seeing as we used up all of our resource, I would hope so. So we're harassing Hanzo with the orb, I suppose, but it's unlikely to ever really accomplish much other than slightly inconveniencing him, where he'll just step back for a second and then step right back out again. You could argue that's enough, because then he isn't shooting at us while he's doing that. But I'm a greedy boy, and I want to do more damage with the orb than like 25 to the Hanzo. I just feel like there's a better use of resources than 5 damage on the Hanzo. So we've dropped really low, and then we fade forward, no less. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh god, it's so greedy. I confess I would have thought about it, like right here. I would have thought about just using Coalescence, but it's not worth the risk. And then we fade forward into a more dangerous location, no less. We've got danger coming towards us right now from multiple angles. We've got 12 hit points. Oh, God. And then we just decide to do it anyway. It's... Oh, it's so greedy. Oh, try and pick up the health kit first, at least, so that we aren't literally... Anything touches us, we die range. Oh, my goodness. And then the orb is in the end what kills us. Oh, such greed. Oof. Greed is good in very measured quantities. That was like turbo greed. Too much greed. So, we lost Coalescence right there. We still got several other ultimates, so that's cool. Which ones do we have? We have... Zarya's really close to having Graviton, while Hanzo's got Dragon Strike, so hopefully Hanzo holds on to his ultimate, while Zarya gets the next, like, 20% of her ult. They're in a trio together, so if they don't, I'll be very disappointed with them. That's, like, the worst possible math right there. Ooh. I know how it feels. So, one of my favorite maps is Route 66 for Moira, because you see all these little fucking bumps and ridges in here. they all fuck up the geometry. Like, every little fucking crack on these things. If the orb hits it at just the wrong pixel, there it goes, straight up. I wanted it to actually, like, bounce sideways into the enemy team, but nope, there it goes. There it goes. It's gonna go to the moon. Maybe it'll hit one of the teams playing on Horizon right now. Sucks to be them. So, we've got to wait for our team to regroup, because we aren't all quite back yet. Hanzo's popped out right in front of us. This is also extremely greedy. I probably would have done the same thing, admittedly, because this is the exact kind of greed I'm at. I'm like, I see half health, I'm like, I'm going to try and kill the Hanzo. We should not try and kill the Hanzo. I would have tried to do the same thing, but I know it's the wrong play to try and do this, because Hanzo doesn't exactly need to hit you many times to kill you, right? Tracer's being a very productive member of society right now. Hanzo doesn't have to hit many times for him to kill you. And he ended up not killing us, but then Junkrat popped out right behind him and finished us off instead. If it's like most other heroes, it would be safer to do that, but Hanzo really does only have to hit you once to kill you. And if the Hanzo's decent, from that range, like, it's not that hard to get a headshot on you. So, especially when you consider, like, the narrow angle he's got to work with. So, I would have done it as well, but it's too much greed. We did at least kill the Hanzo, though. Oh, he tried. Oh, did he try? Oh, goodness, no. Oh, fuck. Panic, 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 slap the ult, slap the ult. Oh, fuck. Feels bad, man. I play Reinhardt. I'm no stranger to having my ultimate taken away from me, but oh, fuck. So, this isn't really worth it at this point, because they're mostly dead. There's only 2 people alive at the time. So we're not likely to get much value out of Coalescence right there. I'd rather just save it for the next team fight, because it looks like we're going to win that team fight without using Coalescence. And we won the team fight, regardless. But we just basically use Coalescence to do some damage to one or two boys. Not worth it. We're trying to hit as many people on both teams as possible with Coalescence. That's very unfortunate right there. So, this is very scary. This whole period right here has been very scary, because we're standing in a very scary location at half health. There's so many things flying around us that could just randomly one-shot us. But, miraculously, none of them hit us. So, our Reinhardt actually decided to hold right-click. Isn't that incredible? So he's ended up putting himself into a bit of a pickle, but they don't exactly have a blisteringly high damage team composition, so he almost gets away with it. So I would throw the healing orb right here, just because Reinhardt's done some shit he shouldn't have done, so I've got to try and keep this boy alive now, and the best way to do that is then to try and throw the healing orb at him, and it's in a confined location. We can get it to bounce around in here a few times, and we can try and keep him alive through all of this. Then we use Fade, like, really early. Like, as soon as we get hit by something, we just immediately use Fade. The thing is, where we Fade to is not exactly any safer. So, instead of fading just, like, generally into the hangar, it's better if we fade around this corner, because around the corner, we can still heal Reinhardt, who is currently the one being super focused, and we can avoid the danger we were fading away from, which is the Zenyatta shooting us on the side. He can't see us over here, we can still see the Reinhardt, everybody's shooting at Reinhardt, we want to keep him alive. Instead, we fade into the garage, and now we end up in an even worse spot. Now, it's not like fading around the corner is going to miraculously make us win that particular fight, but we didn't actually fade anywhere safer. All we did was fade into more danger, and then we don't have fade while we're in the danger as well. It struck me as just being very much like, fuck, I took damage, and like, panic fade kind of thing. But you don't want to be panicking when you're doing stuff, really. Because it usually results in a not super efficient use of whatever you were doing. So this is a pretty greedy use of the ult. Like, that's unfortunate. If you start using Coalescence and then you hear the tire afterwards, that always feels bad. I've come back way too far for this one. It's fine. Whatever. So, we're in a pretty risky location, but also 3 people are already dead on the enemy team right now. So, we probably don't need to use Coalescence when half their team's dead. And we can always just try and use it to finish them off if we start feeling like we aren't gonna kill them, like. But once like half their team's dead and our team is still like fine, I'm not gonna use my ultimate anymore unless it suddenly starts looking like we aren't going to win the team fight, or it suddenly looks like it might go either way. From the position we were in when we started using Coalescence, it didn't look like we were gonna lose the team fight. And then Junkrat used the tire, which is like unfortunate. There's not necessarily a lot you can do about that one. This is the unfortunate thing about Moira, is you are at your most vulnerable when you're using Coalescence, counterintuitively enough. Because that's when you can't do anything fancy to try and keep yourself alive. Because when you're using Coalescence, you're healing 50 health per second off the regen. Whereas if you use the orb and you're right-clicking somebody, that's over 100 health per second. You also can't use... What the fuck is Zenyatta doing? I've just been thinking about my own nonsense here. I was like, what the fuck is Zenyatta doing? So, you can't use Fade or anything while you're using Coalescence. So it's actually when you're at your most vulnerable using Coalescence. I'm not joking when I say probably like 65% of my deaths come from using Coalescence as Moira. Because you're actually really hard to kill at other times. So that Moira's using Coalescence, so we just use our Coalescence in response. That's fair enough, quite frequently is the case. That's the unfortunate thing about playing against another Moira, is there are a lot of situations where you kind of end up just trading Coalescence with the other Moira. But Moira isn't like super popular in my experience, so it doesn't tend to happen that frequently. People generally like playing Ana more than they like playing Moira, especially since Ana's been buffed, so like, you know, people have stopped complaining so much, even though she was fine really before that. Was she the worst of the 3 healers? Yeah, but not by a significant margin, really. So, we've gotten most of the way through the checkpoint. We're halfway towards Coalescence, which is kind of like being 3/4 of the way to having your ultimate for most other heroes. Moira charges are all real fucking fast, after all. So, we're just kind of like spraying aimlessly right here. It ends up not really accomplishing much of anything, because nobody was really there. I was probably trying to get Tracer with it, but like she was really far away. It's like the easiest way to fuck up as Moira is just you end up using too much of your resource and then you can't heal during the team fight. So I'm going back here to see if this was where the best way to fade was away from this Mei, really. So we do like this awkward little step in front of her right at the start where we don't exactly know which way we're going to fade, it looks like. So we kind of like have this moment of indecision. Just decide which way you're going to go when you're using fade. Like, before you push the button, as you're pushing the button, whatever, just decide which way you're going to go. Because if you don't know which way you're going to go and you do the awkward little step like that, you end up not going anywhere. And usually, like, even if you don't go the best direction, it's usually better than staying exactly where you were, because something made you use fade from that position. So you probably don't still want to be in the same location. Just pick a direction and commit to it. So why did we use fade right here? I don't know why we used fade right there. I guess to try and get in, like, a more aggressive position. It's not really necessary. We can still see all of these people. We, in fact, could see less of them from this position, from around the corner. So we didn't really need to use fade right there. Granted, like, were they super likely to punish us for using fade while they're all on the ground stunned? No, but you never know what's gonna happen. So here we faded early. Yeah, we didn't really need to fade yet there. Like, we haven't heard Mei ult when we push Fade. She ults, like, right now, like, after we've pushed Fade. And there's really not much reason to Fade right here. All we're getting shot at is by D.Va's micro-missiles, which I'm not overly concerned about. So we didn't really need to Fade right, especially seeing as the orb's almost off cooldown as well. Because we're still healthy enough that we'll get to throw the orb in a second and heal up. This is not a very good way to throw the orb either. So, let's go one at a time rather than, like, layering it, though. So, we could have just, like, held Fade right here, because we're not actually being threatened by anything right now. And then we could use Fade right now to get out of this one. From the position we're in, though, this is not a very good way to throw the orb, because it's going to immediately leave us behind. Now, and our team behind as well. Now, we are currently frozen, so there's not any guarantee things work out better regardless, really, for us, but either way, we still want it to be around our team more, even if we end up dying. So we want it to stay around us as much as possible. We can bounce it off this wall over here and try to get it to bounce off the wall over here as well. We could just throw it at these crates, at which case it'll bounce across us it'll bounce off there, collide with the payload behind us, and then it's at the whims of the physics engine at that point. But either way, it's going to spend more time around us than just chucking it this way. Because that's just going to immediately leave us behind and get stuck in the room, probably. Because it doesn't come back again. We at least wanted to spend as much time around our team as possible, even if we're gonna die, right? So, not the best use of geometry. Panic situation, almost certainly, but still not the best use of geometry. So things are still going well in our absence. Just chuck the healing orb sooner than that. We can see people are still fighting and taking damage. Just chuck the healing orb over there as fast as possible if you're kind of like coming back to a fight. And I think we're going to get it all the way to the end. We got it all the way to the end. Hooray, we did it. So now we must defend Route 66. And as you can see, this video doesn't go on for like another 10 minutes, so obviously they don't capture all 3 checkpoints because there's just not physically enough time left on the timer anymore. So we're way too far up. Holy shit. Yeah. Ooh, okay, we're backing up a little bit now. We're still too far up, but at least we're less far up now. So I would take a moment just to hide around the corner at the start of the round, just because you don't know if a Widow's gonna hook shot over the fucking top of the containers and headshot you. Just, like, sit around the corner for half a second, just to confirm that's not gonna happen. First, doesn't happen. Not exactly overly surprising it didn't happen. Could have happened, though. Please pick up a health kit. Please either throw the healing orb to heal yourself, or go pick up the health kit in the tunnel. Because walking around, we don't want to be walking around at 100 health. There's a lot of things that can just randomly kill us at 100 health. And then we throw the damage orb again? Oh my goodness, such a greed. Oh. Like, obviously a whole, like, look, that's fucking Zenyatta that's over there right now. Like, Zenyatta's fucking advancing into their spawn, right? So, like, things are going a bit, like, not many legal maneuvers are being performed right now, but, oh my god, we're so greedy. Almost dead. Like, we've been half dead for the last 30 seconds, and we still just threw nothing but damage orbs. Oh my goodness. Greed is good in measured quantities. That was some turbo greed, once again, right there. We didn't get punished, so, you know, we don't have to learn anything, but, ooh, that was greedy. Why did we die right here? I was kind of distracted. I mean, you know, obviously one step we could remove from this process is our team not all dying outside the enemy team's spawn, right? So, it's put us in a bit of a weird position in terms of the map right now. But if your team's doing dumb shit, you gotta go do dumb shit with your team. It's just how life is, tragically. Because it doesn't matter if you're doing the right thing. If your team all dies over there doing the stupid thing, you're doing the right thing alone. It's better to do a stupid thing altogether than the right thing entirely alone. If you're someone like Soldier, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more because long-range hero, you can kind of stay in your position and still be helping the people doing dumb shit, but yeah. So we did use the healing orb right here. That's fair enough. There was a barrier in the way. We can't heal through barriers as Moira anymore because, you know, Blizzard's fucking incredible like that. So, I don't think we need to use Coalescence right now. I have to assume this is predominantly to try and keep ourselves alive. But again, Coalescence is when you're, like, most vulnerable. And we're about to have our orb come off cooldown. Farah's not shooting at us right now. She's gone around the corner. She was looking up. She's not concerned at us anymore. So we could have just waited for the healing orb to come up here and use that to heal ourselves rather than Coalescence. Because we end up not really getting much value out of that Coalescence. We basically just used it to kill Farah. And I mean, I've been in situations where using Coalescence just to kill the Farah or Mercy was the correct play, but right there was rather unnecessary. We'd pretty much won the fight already by that point. So we end up not getting much value out of Coalescence. I have to assume it was basically to keep ourselves alive. Obviously, you know, I don't know what you're thinking at the time, but I assume. So I would have thrown the healing orb right here, just because I don't want to go anywhere near that fucking clown fiesta over there. I ain't about to push that. I ain't gonna touch that with a 10-foot clown pole, right? Just throw the healing orb over there to try and keep those dumbasses alive, and then we can sit over here being safe. Because as it turns out, those dumbasses did die because they were doing dumb shit. So, but I don't want to physically go anywhere near that situation. So just throw the healing orb at them instead, try and keep them alive. If the enemy team's in a position that is like dangerous for you to go to, but they're still fighting, just throw the healing orb at them. Maybe it'll keep them alive. It's better than like you physically going over there or you doing nothing to try and keep them alive. So I would not be trying to contest the payload right now. We should just back way the fuck up and wait for our team to regroup, because our team has to regroup right now. Us contesting the payload, under most circumstances right now, is going to buy us like an extra 1 second of delaying it, right? And then we just end up dying staggered compared to our team. So we should have just backed up rather than trying to contest the payload basically by ourselves. And Yada was there as well, but basically by ourselves. I'm thinking, no, it's not the right play. Zenyatta's shooting at us as well. It's not the right play to use Coalescence, because I was like, if it's just Moira, that would work out, but no, Zenyatta was back there as well, shooting at us. He didn't actually hit us, but we should assume he's got some amount of aim, right? So, wasn't the correct play to use Coalescence. So we do have Coalescence now. The enemy team still aren't exactly winning, somehow, so we managed to get back. Yeah, might as well. I would have used it basically immediately. We end up layering it with Transcendence, which is not ideal, but I mean, I would have used Coalescence like as soon as we were coming around the corner, so if Zenyatta does it, Zenyatta does it. Such is life. So as you can probably tell, hooray, we won. Amazingly enough, considering how many illegal maneuvers we were performing, we didn't get punished for any of them. Great. So there was a question in the email, and it was basically just, I tried to keep my healing stat high. Was this healing good? 11k. That's about what I expect, considering how long the round was. Or how long the game was, rather, because it was one long round, but then one extremely short round. So, that's about what I would expect it to be. I mean, 31% of team damage taken, right? It seems about average, yeah. Like, it's what I would expect it to be for that time. I don't really, like, worry about that too much, but I'm on record as thinking the only stat really worth tracking is deaths, because accuracy, damage done, healing, all these things can kind of lie to you based on the game. So, but, like, deaths is just kind of an objective metric. Because each time you die, that's like 20 seconds you were not interacting with the game anymore. It's like 10 seconds respawning plus however long it takes you to get back to wherever the fight's happening. So it's like 20 seconds just, I wasn't interacting with the game. That shit's bad. Let's try and keep that minimal. It can be worse or better depending on the map and who you're playing, but like, we'll say 20 seconds is the average. So it's just like, if I die 5 times, fuck, that's like a whole, over a minute I missed in that game. But if I only died twice, oh shit, I was only missing for 40 seconds of the game total. That's not bad. So, deaths is just kind of like always good to keep low. But, like, what's a good amount of healing or whatever varies. Like, if their round went, like, not so painfully short. Also, we didn't even really do much healing the second round, if you think about it, right? Like, most of that number we built up during the first round. The second round, I'd wager we only healed, like, 2k, 3k. Because, like, it was short, certainly, but, like, our team was just always over there doing dumb shit as well, and we didn't really, like, interact with them that much. So it's like, we just didn't even have to do that much healing during that period of time, because the enemy team was, like, really fucking bad. But to answer your question, yeah, that's about what I would expect it to be based on how that game went, so. Moira, you always have to, like, skew it a little bit higher than the other main healers, because Moira does a lot of healing. So her average is like like if you were playing like Mercy or Ana, I'd expect it to be like 9k, 8k, somewhere in that region. So you've always got to like put Moira a little bit higher, just because she does a lot of healing. And it's all AoE as well. None of Moira's healing is single target, unless you count her self-healing, right? So you've always got to put it a little bit higher than like Ana. I remember when Ana's, the amount of healing Ana could do seemed like extremely overpowered. Now we got Moira. Put Moira and Ana on the same team. That Reinhardt can do some real dumb shit and not get punished for it. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us, and I hope you found the video helpful.